Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt stuck? You're hitting the gym hard, trying every workout, every diet, but nothing seems to be working. Your body just seems to look the same month after month, just this soft, undefined, potato-looking thing in the mirror. It's frustrating, right? Anyway, if this sounds like you, then keep watching, because what I'm going to do in this video is identify the skinny fat dilemma that you probably have and how we're going to solve that to get you jacked and lean over the next few months this year. In case you don't know who I am, which you probably don't, my name's Aidan Burr. I'm a coach for men with almost 15 years of experience, helping men, typically no longer in their 20s, with partner, long work hours, kids, you name it, get back in shape after letting themselves go over the years, and ultimately transform themselves from that skinny fat look, which we all kind of hate, into a much more jacked, lean and toned body. Cutting out the fluff, the shit that you might see on social media that a lot of like influencer dickheads might shove in front of your face, and just taking you through processes and methods that can be tailored to you. In this video, I wanted to talk about the main mistakes that keep so many men stuck in this sort of skinny fat nightmare. Never seeing change, never seeing progress, and ultimately just feeling pretty shit about yourself. Then once you get that understanding of the what and the why, we're gonna go through the how. How to solve this problem, break free of that stuckness feeling that you're going through, and ultimately make a proper physical transformation for yourself. So before we dive into solving this skinny fat dilemma, let's first understand exactly what it is. Being skinny fat ultimately means having a physique that looks pretty slim, looks pretty skinny, but you carry a lot of body fat around like the midsection, for example. It's almost like that old school dad bod look. You might look all right, fairly slim, fairly all right shape in clothes, but as soon as you take your clothes off, you can see there's like no muscle definition going on, and there's that persistent belly fat. Over the years, I've seen countless men with this same issue, and they get frustrated because it feels like all the hard work that they're putting into their gym, into their diet, is just not seeming to pay off. So having this skinny fat dilemma ends up causing a huge conflict, and you can end up switching priorities back and forth quite easily and ultimately getting stuck in the middle. Which means you're never really able to commit to one particular direction, which means, you guessed it, you never see the changes over the months and years that you really want. One minute you want to get all jacked up top, so you start lifting things proper heavy, and then the next minute you want to lose the body fat and shred up, so you completely change your training and you start doing HIIT training, cardio, extra cardio, all that shit. And you're just trying to tone up your muscles while burning as many calories as you can. Then there's the diet side of things. So one minute you're looking to get super shredded, so you're doing everything like cutting the carbs, cutting the fat, doing all old school magazine diets like fucking grapefruit diet or slim fast or whatever it is to like lose the weight, lose the body fat as quickly as you can. Then after a couple of weeks, you're feeling proper skinny, so you're like, oh, I need to bulk up. So you start eating as much high protein, calorie full meals as you can, trying to put some more size in your frame, but ultimately you're just getting in the way of like shredding up and feeling more toned. So you just feel stuck in the middle again. It's funny because as soon as I'm outlining all of this, you might be watching thinking, yeah, there's no way this is gonna work, Aidan, you're absolutely fucking right. Constantly doing opposing things each week based on how you're feeling. So how about we talk about what the correct approach is? First thing we need to talk about is the number one priority for skinny fat guys. What is the most important issue to tackle? Like if you looked in the mirror and you had only one key thing that you had to change, what would that be? For 99% of you, it's gonna be the belly, the love handles, the midsection, all that extra body fat going on. Because that's always gonna be niggling in the back of your mind. The whole approach of nutrition and training should be committing to shredding this area. Once you accept this, everything's gonna be so much easier because you're no longer gonna be conflicted between cutting and bulking. So now you've established your number one priority, that ultimately means we need to be in a calorie deficit. In order to lose fat, see more muscle definition, tone up, all the above. You need to be in a deficit with your nutrition in order to see the weight on the scales go down. Now before you get back to me and be like, babe, I don't want to lose all my weight because I'm gonna get skinny on my arms and my chest and I'm gonna feel all weedy. You must understand something. You can gain muscle in a fat loss phase, but you cannot lose fat in a bulking phase. So while we're in a fat loss phase, if your training is done correctly and you're consuming enough protein, then there will be some muscle gains. And you will see more definition in certain areas if you get this right along the way. Sure, you won't be blowing up and putting on mad mass, but this comes at the next stage once you are fully committed to this shred. So, calorie deficit, full fat loss phase is priority number one. Shred until you get rid of those areas that is ultimately going to bother you the most. Next, we talk about the two main components of making sure that one, the weight that you do lose is body fat, and two, we are able to put on some muscle strength and definition during this phase. So component number one is protein. Making sure this is absolutely priority number one with all the meals to ensure that you are fueling your body enough to maintain or even gain some muscle mass. It's also going to help fill you up more so that you can sustain being in a deficit for longer and you're not going to want to quit because you're fucking starving and miserable. Easiest thing to do is to aim for around 2 grams per kilo of your target body weight. The reason why I say 2 grams is because optimally we need to make sure it's at least 1.6, 1.7 grams per kilo of your target body weight. So if you aim for 2, then you'll be sure to hit at least the optimal amount. So, protein, super fucking important. Second key component, which is just as important, is a highly effective weight training program. You don't necessarily need to be doing a bunch of cardio, a bunch of HIIT workouts in order to lose the weight and tone up, because your nutrition and hitting your calorie and protein targets is ultimately going to be the driving force of whether or not you are doing that on a weekly basis. The main part of your training program should be to gain strength and muscle, which is going to be more of a bodybuilding style training program. Typically for most guys I help with a lot of, social life, long work hours, partner, things going on evening and weekends. With all this shit going on, it's not really realistic that you're going to be able to sustain 5, 6, 7 days a week in the gym. What is more effective is sticking to a much more efficient 3 or 4 day program that's going to be a lot more compact and is a much more effective and sustainable method of programming for you. Something that's really popular among my clients is a 4-day front-back push-pull style split. Not your typical chest day, leg day, back day kind of shit. That's for another video. Ultimately, it's about finding out what is the most sustainable thing for you over a long period of time. Anyway, so this is the main outline of solving your skinny fat dilemma. So to summarize, the first thing you have to accept is that you got to commit to the shred. You got to drop the weight, you got to drop the body fat first before you can move on to a building or bulking phase. Two main key components, which is a high protein diet and a highly effective heavy lifting weights program. All of this I'm going to go into a lot more detail in the upcoming weeks and future videos, but I hope you found this introduction and outline very useful. So be sure to subscribe if you're a skinny fat guy looking for help, looking to get jacked and lean over the next few months instead of feeling stuck for years. Whilst also being able to live a life of freedom and just have a regular fucking life and not be a boring bodybuilder. Comment below any questions that you may have at all. And if you're looking for a free program to get started, I'll leave a link in the description below. I've got a free 4-week coaching program, Skinny Fat to Jacked, where we go behind the scenes of my one-to-one coaching program and set you off with the best kickstart possible. Anyway, if you got this far, thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll speak to you soon.